The story of the refuge system begins at the turn of the 20th century, when an immigrant homesteader named Paul Krogel, appalled at the slaughter of brown pelicans for their fashionable feathers, caught the attention of leading scientists and changed the course of American conservation forever. The result was the establishment of the first National Wildlife Refuge, designated as the Pelican Island Bird Reservation by President Theodore Roosevelt. Said President Roosevelt, "Wild beasts and birds are by right not the property merely of the people who are alive today, but the property of unknown generations whose belongings we have no right to squander." Today, the National Wildlife Refuge System embodies the nation's promise to itself that there will always be places for wild creatures in our midst. It is the nation's most extensive network of public lands dedicated to the conservation of wildlife habitat and wildlife species. National Wildlife Refuges support at least 700 species of birds, 220 mammals, 250 reptiles and amphibians, over 1,000 species of fish, and countless invertebrates and plants. Refuges are anchors for biodiversity and ecosystem conservation. The conservation dream that was born in 1903 is being fulfilled every day on more than 150 million acres across the country. National Wildlife Refuges stretch from the southern Caribbean to the northernmost tip of Alaska and more than halfway to Japan. From sea to shining sea, the National Wildlife Refuge System includes desert and tundra, mountain and seashore, prairie, salt marsh, and forest. 20 million acres of the system are congressionally designated wilderness, natural expanses free of roads and motorized vehicles. Through its internationally recognized biosphere and shorebird reserves and wetlands of international importance, the refuge system joins with other nations to share knowledge and engage in research to meet intense conservation challenges. One of the greatest of these challenges is climate change. Refuge staff helped to develop the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Climate Change Strategic Plan of Adaptation, Mitigation, and Engagement. Through research and experimentation, refuges are seeking the best ways to reduce the impact of sea level rise and ecological disruptions on fish, wildlife, and habitat. National Wildlife Refuges are home to nearly 300 of the nation's more than 1,300 endangered or threatened species. 59 refuges were created specifically to help restore such wildlife as the Indiana bat, Lang's metalmark butterfly, the loggerhead sea turtle, and the manatee. Refuges have played a key role in the recovery of several species, including the whooping crane, the brown pelican, and American crocodile. Another 200 refuges were established to protect migratory birds. Refuges along the major north-south flyways hold festivals to celebrate the seasonal arrival of snow geese, tundra swans, sandhill cranes, and songbirds. More than 3,000 waterfowl production areas provide habitat for a vast variety of waterfowl, shorebirds, grassland birds, plants, and insects. 98% of the money earned from the sale of federal duck stamps is used to create waterfowl production areas, either by acquiring land or purchasing easements on private land from willing landowners. 3,600 employees bring their passion and dedication to managing the refuge system. They are biologists and botanists, environmental educators and law enforcement officers, heavy equipment operators, archaeologists, and recreation planners. These refuge professionals manage the land to conserve and restore wildlife habitat. Invasive plants and animals are controlled or eradicated. Dams are removed to restore natural hydrology to rivers and marshes. Prescribed burning is designed to prevent devastating wildfires and stimulate habitat regrowth. The Refuge system also achieves its mission by collaborating with partner organizations and citizens. More than 36,000 citizens volunteer on refuges, conducting wildlife surveys, leading visitor tours, providing interpretive and educational programs for children and adult visitors. The system also receives invaluable support from more than 250 nonprofit organizations known as Friends groups. Friends play a critical role in helping the Refuge system achieve its mission, raising funds for research and conservation projects, helping to shape public policy, and performing critical work on the land. Membership in Friends organizations has grown to more than 60,000 worldwide. Refuges also provide places for wildlife-dependent recreation. 2.5 million hunters and 6 million anglers harvest the diverse bounty of refuges while adhering to strict federal regulations. Hikers and walkers find inspiration and breathtaking beauty along refuge trails. Some refuges have spaces for bikes, canoes and kayaks, and even wilderness camping. Wildlife observation and photography enable visitors to experience nature up close. Protected historical sites on refuges provide glimpses of life in another era. Every year, thousands of school children visit refuges to learn the ethics of conservation firsthand and discover the joy, excitement, and mystery of the natural world. Biologist and author Rachel Carson wrote that for every child she wished a sense of wonder so indestructible that it would last throughout life. Through environmental education and interpretation, refuges nurture that sense of wonder in children of all ages.
It's important to protect wildlife because there are some species of animals that are going extinct. There's some areas that people just build on to make houses and buildings when there should be more space for the animals than you, because what's more important, nature or you? I think nature is.
The pioneers of the Refuge system endowed the nation with a magnificent wildland heritage to be held in trust for future generations. These trust resources, wildlands with their diverse and abundant wildlife, are essential to the quality of American life. They enrich and renew our spirit. Environmentalist and educator Aldo Leopold encouraged all citizens to sit quietly and listen to the vast, pulsing harmony of nature. Its score inscribed on 1,000 hills. Its notes the lives and deaths of plants and animals. Its rhythms spanning the seconds and the centuries.